Welcome back. We are in the Genesis 22, one of the most critical passages in the entire Bible. So, this is a big one. We're going to spend a little extra time in it. So hang out with me. But here we go. Genesis 22. Now, it came about after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, here I am. He said, take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, which I will tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took two of his young men with him and Isaac his son. And he split wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand with fire and a knife. So the two of them walked on together. Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. He said, behold, the fire and the wood. Behold, the fire and the wood. But where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb of the burnt offering, my son. So the two of them walked on together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood, and bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. He said, do not stretch out your hand against the lad and do nothing to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the place of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, the Lord will provide. I think that is like Emmanuel or something like that. Maybe that's God with us. I don't remember. Anyway, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord, it will be provided. It's not Emmanuel. Now I'm thinking about it. I know that for sure. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this thing and not withheld your son, your only son. Indeed, I will greatly bless you, and I will greatly multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed, all the nations will be blessed because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now it came about after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Something like that. These names. Uz, his firstborn, and Booz, his brother, is either Uz and Buzz or Uz and Booz. And Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. These 8 Milcah born to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Tebah and Gahem and Tahash and Amaka. These names are ridiculous. I don't know how to pronounce them. I don't even try. So, this is a pivotal text. This is literally what the Christian faith hinges upon on the opposite end. So it's like when we are brought in to the family of faith, this is the family of faith, right? Abraham is looking forward to an offering that's going to be made in his son's place. So there's a double parallel here, a double metaphor that's happening, where in one sense, Abraham is God and Isaac is Jesus. And God is going to sacrifice Jesus. Where the metaphor, like, that's the picture that he's getting a sense of. This is his only son. He loves him. He's promised. He's the most, like, and he's calling him your only son, which means this is it. You don't have Ishmael anymore. He's gone. This is your only son. And this is the son that I promised you. This is the one. You're going to give him up. You're going to sacrifice him. And that is how the Father and Christ, that's the picture, right? So Abraham's getting a real sense of that in being about to sacrifice his own son. Now, the metaphor stops there because nobody stops God. So what ends up happening then is now the metaphor changes to Isaac is now us. In the moment that Abraham stops, Isaac is now us, and the ram is Jesus. That's the second part of the metaphor. So it's a little bit of a two things happening at the same time, but it's a really beautiful picture, and it's very, very, very important. This is what everything hinges on. So the sacrifices that are made from this time all the way to Jesus is a picture of looking forward to something being sacrificed in your place. The burnt offerings, the doves, the rams, the lambs, the cow, it's all sacrifices being made, and it's all pictures, especially Passover. It's a picture of there's going to be somebody that dies in our place. There's going to be something that's a scapegoat that is sacrificed in our place, like it was sacrificed in Isaac's place. That's the old covenant. You make these sacrifices, you do this thing looking forward to me, and it will be granted to you as faith. That faith, it will be granted to you as righteousness, rather, is how Hebrews puts it. Abraham's faith that something would be done in his son's place, but the metaphor is being in his own place, is his faith in that is granted to him as righteousness. So that's where his salvation is happening, right? His faith is practiced out in his, and that's how it carries for all of Israel from then on. And more particularly when Moses and the Levites kind of set the temple up and do the whole thing, and it gets a little bit more organized. But the idea is there, it's planted here. Now, once Jesus dies, that covenant is fulfilled. Now there's no more looking forward and doing these things, looking forward and all this symbolism and faith in the practice, looking forward to something that will be done. It's done. Now we repent and look back, and we have faith that it was done. That's the new covenant. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there about what the old covenant is and the new covenant is. You know, it's like, oh, the old covenant is some covenant God made with Abraham, or God made a bunch of covenants in the Old Testament. The one that is done, null and void, or that hasn't been, not null and void, that's been completed and is no longer applicable, is all the sacrifice stuff. All this, the covenant around the sacrifice, which is looking forward to Jesus, is done because Jesus did the thing. So now we are in the new covenant. The mechanism of faith, the mechanism of righteousness, the faith where we're putting it, is retrospective now. We're looking back to what was done. We're living in the fulfilled covenant. They were looking forward to a fulfilled covenant. We're living in a fulfilled covenant, post-fulfilled covenant. So this is critical. And it's very important that we, like, people will be like, oh, God told him to kill his own son. How could he do that? Well, that's the whole point. It's crazy. It's barbaric. It's who would ever do something like that? It's so extreme, but God did it. God did sacrifice his son in our place. Right? God is Isaac and also the ram and Abraham. Christ specifically, is Isaac and the ram. So it's just a very, very, very powerful passage. And he says, because of this, because you had faith that I was going to provide a sacrifice, that there would be a scapegoat, this line is going to be blessed. These descendants are going to be something else. It doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't go beyond any of that. There's no blessing anybody. They are going to be, the whole world through him is going to be blessed, because this is where Jesus comes from. This is the line where we get Jesus and a fulfilled covenant. That's the blessing to the whole world. You can take it further and say that the whole world is blessed through Christianity as well, because we are children of Abraham. He had faith that something would be done, and we have faith that something was done. That faith attributed as righteousness. So, and the whole world has been blessed through true believing Christians, not organizations and militant, whatever, all that kind of stuff. They've had some dark times, but generally, like, the world has been blessed through us. Most of the world is literate because of Christians and all that sort of thing. Science was built on Christians understanding that the world is understandable and stuff, and that's been a great benefit to humanity. So God was speaking truth and made good on his word that the whole world would be blessed through this line that was going to produce the Messiah, and then also the adopted ones that have been brought in to that family through faith and spreading the knowledge of Christ around the world. So absolutely crazy pivotal passage here. It's like, familiarize yourself with it, understand the two levels of the metaphor, God being the father, being Abraham, and Jesus being Isaac. And then Isaac, once the whole sacrifice is stopped, then the metaphor switches and we become Isaac and the ram becomes Christ. Christ is ultimately the one that is stricken for us. And just really, really powerful. Very, very powerful. So anyway, it's one of my favorite ones. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Read your Bible.